Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, I am Cryptic Coil, and in today's video, I'm going to show off a book haul that I acquired this weekend. I don't know if I'm done book hauling from thrift stores and used bookstores or not just yet. I might be, but I took a couple days off this week and I started exploring bookshops that I didn't even know existed. There's this used bookstore just right up the road from where I live, and I had no idea it was there. And it's been there for about 20 years or something. I had no clue, and I found some cool stuff there. So let's jump into this book haul of mine, and real quick, usually I save my R.L. Stein books for last because I think that a large portion of my audience, not that my audience is all that large, but those of you who are a part of my audience just know that I love you and appreciate you, but you're not that many in number. I mean, you're just not, let's just be real. Okay, so I usually save R.L. Stein books for last, but today I'm going to be doing R.L. Stein books first, okay? So I found this copy of A Shocker on Shock Street, and this is a very modern reprinting. Let's look at the copyright page. So this is from 2016. The original book was printed in 1995, and I already own several copies of A Shocker on Shock Street. I know I have a vintage copy. It's probably a first edition. And then I own a reprint where they reprinted them to look like the first editions, except you can totally tell they're not because they don't have the embossed Goosebumps logo or anything like that. And I think that the quality of paper was different, so they stay cleaner. The pages will stay cleaner and whiter over a number of years. So I have a copy like that, and then I may have one other, and now I have this copy. And I found a whole bunch of these, but sometimes I feel like a jerk because I know that other people are gonna want stuff like this, and then I tend to, be the one around town that buys it all up. And so I left some, but I took the ones that I wanted. So I found this copy of Say Cheese and Die, and I think this is a cool looking cover. There's someone lying on the grass for whatever reason you don't know. All you can see is their hand, and they're holding a camera, and inside the lens you can see the image of a human skull. That looks really good. That's a good looking cover. In fact, I would even say that this one might be cooler than the original cover. Don't crucify me for saying that because I know that the original cover is super iconic, but it's also kind of campy at the same time. And if the Goosebumps book series wasn't so classic, and if the book wasn't so old, I don't think it would be controversial to say that. But the original cover of this book is very campy looking, and this one looks like this one could age a lot better, just as far as the image that we're viewing is concerned. Okay, and then I found one more classic Goosebumps book in this edition, and this is Night of the Living Dummy Part 2. And this is a very sentimental book to me because I vividly remember reading it on a road trip back home when I was a child. We knew that we would be on the road for about a whole day, and so we stopped by Walmart, and my parents were kind enough to buy me a Goosebumps book so I can read it on the way back home. And the book that I got was Night of the Living Dummy Part 2. And I ended up reading it on the drive home, killed it. It was kind of sad when it was over, but I dug it. And I remember it very vividly. So this was a very sentimental one. I couldn't leave this one behind at the store. It feels good to own a copy of that book in that edition as well. Okay, then I found this, and I'd never encountered this one before, certainly not out in the wild. This one is called Goosebumps The Haunted Car, and I thought it was really cool that I found it because I'd never heard of it. And then I open up the copyright page and I see that it was originally published, or at least copyrighted, in 1999. But this was originally published as a Goosebumps Series 2000 book, and it was number 21 in that series. And again, it's called The Haunted Car. This edition was printed in 2015. And forgive me for the poor lighting in here. I'm filming this video at night, and I'm depending on that lamp that you see behind me to provide the light, and it's not the best quality light. I really prefer to film during the day where I could, open my blinds over there and let sunlight provide natural light and make my videos look better. But, unfortunately tonight this is the best I can do. And then one more Goosebumps book. This one is a Goosebumps Most Wanted book, and I think I might already have this book, but this one is called The Haunter, and this is book number 4. Okay, so this is a Goosebumps Most Wanted book, but it's a special edition, and it's number 4 in the Most Wanted Special Edition series. So don't confuse this one with Most Wanted number 4. This one is Most Wanted Special Edition number 4. And I think that I may already have a copy of this, but I'm certain that the copy that I may already own is not in as good of condition as this one is. So I went ahead and picked this one up. And this was printed in 2016. And I think that is just a great looking cover. I mean, I love the fact that, you have this like old rundown Victorian style home in a field and all these like, dead trees in the background, and it looks like a black and white photograph. And then this haunter figure, this like haunting entity, is digitized, and that's okay, but I love the fact that the eyes and the claws are orange, and that goes with the Goosebumps logo and the R.L. Stine logo. I just think that this cover looks really cool, and it has Halloween vibes, and I absolutely love the way it looks. And then last for my R.L. Stine books go, I have a Fear Street book, and it's Cheerleaders, The First Evil. Now, I already own all 5 Cheerleaders books in the Fear Street series, that is. But this one is a lot taller, and the font is, kind of big. I mean, it's not like huge, but it's definitely easy to read. And I think that might have been why they printed this one in 2002. I already looked. This edition was printed in 2002, and the original copy was printed in 1992. So I just think that it's really cool that they made one like this. I already have one like this that's like all tall, and where the font is kind of easier to read. And it's like what's that one series? It's like Fear Street Sagas, book number 1. I don't even remember the name of it, but I did read that one in 5th grade when I had the chicken pox. But it's cool to own this one in that edition as well. So that's it for the R.L. Stines. So let's move on to everything else. This is something that my audience probably won't care about, but I want to show it off anyway. This is a book on Squier electric guitars. Now, I do own a Squier guitar. My Squier guitar is one of my more recent acquisitions, whereas I own some like really vintage ESP LTDs, and I own some Jackson guitars. But I do have a Squier that I absolutely love, and I'm not really into Strats and Tellys and stuff like that, but I do love my new Squier Strat because it's from 1999 and it's cool. And I remember when I was a kid, I used to have this like unfounded snob complex with Squier guitars. I thought that they were like, cheap, and that if you wanted, like the authentic good quality, you had to buy Fender. because Squire is owned by Fender, and Squire guitars are more affordable than Fender guitars. But that's actually not true. That's actually very far from the truth. And Fender is one of those things where you're going to pay extra for the name in a lot of cases, in that there are tons and tons and tons and tons of Squire guitars that are like really good quality, that give any Fender guitar a run for its money. And I have this whole new love and appreciation for Squire guitars. And then I found this book on the history of Squire as a company. And I just think it's really cool that I, found this at a thrift store, and I just couldn't resist. Just for fun, I want to see what year this was printed. I wish I would have had this in high school, so I wouldn't have been such a snob. I wish. Well, that's because didn't come out till I was out of high school for like 10 years, okay? But whatever, okay? Then I found this book, and this is called Constellations of the Night Sky. And I'm lucky to live in a region where we have a very good view of the night sky, and the stars are very clear. And I've lived in other places where that was not the case. And I've always wanted to be able to read the stars better. And now I can, because I own this book, and I cannot wait to sink my teeth into it. Okay, so let's get into some other stuff that you guys might care about. Oh, okay, so I'm really happy because I found the third book in the Midnight Library series by Damian Graves. Now, somebody left an interesting comment on one of my videos, where one of my other book hauls, where I showed off one of the Midnight Library books that I had found at a thrift store. They said that in England they're published under like either a different title and a different author, or just a different author. Offhand, I can't remember which it was, but I now have the third. There were three of them. This one has kind of a green looking cover. The other one was like pink, and the other one was blue. And I now have three. And these are one of those books where, or at least the other ones, where they're almost considered vintage. Okay, and it's the same thing here. This was printed, or it was copyrighted in 2006, but the first printing happened in 2007. So we're just waiting another 3 years before we can technically call it vintage. And years, that few to me is just a formality. So this is pretty much vintage as far as I'm concerned. And I now have all three, but so there's three short story, or no, this is volume 4. Whoa, there's more. I thought there was only 3. This is volume 4, so it looks like I have at least one more that I need to find, which is kind of obnoxious because I'd like to be done, but oh well. So these are the 3 short stories in this book. Okay, there's The Cat Lady, Who Dares Wins, and then Don't Wake the Baby. Okay. So that's pretty cool. Let's see, what else do I got? So I already own a copy of Mother's Helper by A. Bates, and but I found this one at a thrift store today. I drove to a nearby city to see if they had anything cool, and they had a couple of point horror books, but I already owned the ones that they had that I did find, and of course I bought them anyway. And this one is actually in worse condition than the one that I already own, so this is going to be a reading copy. Then I found, where is it? Where'd you go? Can't hide from me. Okay. So I found another copy of Gillian Cross's Wolf. And I thought this was a rare book. I really did. But this is the 3rd copy that I've found out in the wild since I began this hobby like 3 years ago. And I sent one of my copies to Shadyside Library. And I bought this one just so I could have another or just so I could have a backup and everything, because this is the next book that I'm gonna read. It might be a buddy read with Shady Side Library. I'm not entirely sure, but this is gonna be the next book that I read, and this is the third copy that I found out in the wild. Then I ordered a lot of point horror books online earlier this week, and they haven't gotten to me just yet in the mail, but this Wolf is going to be a part of it. So now I'm going to own 3 copies of Wolf. And the reason I thought it was rare was because in Cameron Chaney's video of point horror books, he didn't even have this in his collection. And so when I found it out in the wild in like mint condition the first time, I thought that, oh wow, I found a really rare one, and I was like all proud of myself. But now I'm starting to see this one pop up more and more online, and it doesn't look like it goes for all that much money. So I guess it's not as rare as I originally thought it was. Kind of burst my bubble a little bit, actually. Let's see. Let's Okay, so I showed off Mother's Helper and Wolf, so let's stick with point horror. I have one last point horror book. I found it's called The Cat Dogs and Other Tales of Horror, edited by A. Finnis. Okay, and there you have it. There's this creature on the front cover that kind of looks like a cross between a cat and a dog. Very vicious looking teeth. And the tagline on the front reads, "Here, kitty, kitty." And the cover is actually in very good condition. It looks like there are 6 stories in this collection, and I found this one for like $2.99 at that bookstore that's like right by my apartment that I told you about. That's been there this whole time, and I never knew about it. So I found this there for $2.99. And so here are all the stories that are in it. So story number 1 is called The Cat Dogs by Susan Price. Story number 2 is called The Piano by Diane Ho. Story number 3 is The Devil's Footprints by Malcolm Rose, who I've never heard of. Story number 4 is called Softies by Stan Nichols, who again I've never heard of. And then story number 5 is called The House That Jack Built by Gary Kilworth. Kilworth is a pretty cool name. And then book number 6 is called The Station with No Name by Colin Greenland. And so this one sounds like it would be pretty interesting, and I was super stoked to have found it. And so that's it for my point horrors. Now let's jump into my, before I jump into Apple paperbacks, I found this book by Nancy Garden. And I think that she's famous for writing a children's middle grade book called The Plant That Ate Dirty Socks. And I guess this one was a series, and it's called Monster Hunters. And it's got a cool looking cover. There's a menacing, maniacal, threatening looking bat right here, and there's these children who are clearly afraid of it, who have picked up weapons, prepared to defend themselves. Not only defend themselves, but eliminate the threat that they perceive. And so that's a pretty cool looking cover. Very late 80s, early 90s looking. And the tagline on the front reads, "Who's killing the cows on Grandpop's farm?" Oh, is this a chupacabra mystery? Because the cows are dying, there's a bat on the cover. I'm guessing the cows must be drained of blood. No, not exactly, but let's just see what year this came out. 1987. Uh, well, I guess that's when it got copyrighted. I guess this printing was printed in 1991. So I guess that's why I said late 80s, early 90s ish. I mean, I was pretty spot on. So that was cool. Then I found some vintage Apple paperbacks. The first one that I want to show is this Betty Wren Wright book called The Moonlight Man, which I do not own a copy of, and I've never heard of this one. And this is another one that I found at that, bookstore that's not too far from my place. It's like super close. Like I could walk there if I wanted. If I wanted, it would be a bit of a lengthy walk, but I could get there by foot if I had to. And this is in like mint condition. Okay. I'm trying to open it up to the copyright page, and I'm getting some resistance from the book because it's like it's never been opened, it's never been read, and it's just been sitting on a shelf sandwiched between other books. So this is in perfectly mint condition, and this one was copyrighted in the year 2000. So it's not exactly one that I grew up with, but it's still vintage, and I never heard of it, and I have it, and I'm proud to have it and put it with the rest of my Betty Wren Wright collection. And then this other one that I'd never heard of, and it's called The Werewolf Chronicles, and this is book one, and it's called Night Creature by Rodman Philbrick and Lynn Harnett. And it's got a pretty cool looking cover. The tagline reads, "Not a boy, not a wolf, something much worse." And this is another one, perfect mint condition, never been opened, never been read. Just opening it to the copyright page, the cover and the spine are demonstrating resistance because it's just so new. Even though that it's from 1996. And so, yeah, that's like in mint condition. I really hope to find a beat up copy that I can feel comfortable reading, because this is in like just immaculate condition. So, oh, and then I found this one. This is another vintage Apple paperback, and it's in such good condition, except the darn thrift store tag sticker ripped off a little bit of paint. Not the biggest deal in the world, but that is just sad. It's sad because it put this really unnecessary blemish on this beautiful and otherwise like near perfect copy on this cover. Okay, and you guys know how much I love finding these vintage Apple paperbacks. Okay, they really, I have a lot of nostalgia for them from my childhood. And so you can see these two little girls. I mean, I'm sure they're maybe like somewhere between fourth to seventh grade age. The book is called Circle of Gold by Candy Dawson Boyd, and it says that there's. I'm just going to read it. A Coretta Scott King Award honor book. I don't know what a Coretta Scott King Award is, but apparently this author has received one. The author is Candy Dawson Boyd, who I've never heard of. I'm not gonna read the tagline or the cover on back just because I don't want this video to be too much longer. It's already 24 minutes. I think I only have a few more left to show you. So, Mary Downing Hahn, Deep and Dark and Dangerous. Now, if you watched one of my more recent videos where I showcased my entire Mary Downing Hahn collection, I was kind of disturbed by the fact that the copy that I have had some water damage. Like, it just kind of grosses me out because you don't know what kind of liquid caused that damage. It's kind of gross to think about. And so I was waiting to find a copy that was like in much better condition. And I did. I found this one that I would actually call mint condition. I found it today at a thrift store, and I was just really happy to have found it. So this is kind of a replacement copy, so I can get rid of that other one. That other one's not in bad condition. You can tell there's a little bit of like water damage, and I hope it was just water. But that one I just don't feel like I have to worry about. And just because I found this for less than $2, I picked up Christopher Pike's Thirst number 2. I don't have Thirst number 1, but this was like in excellent condition, like near mint condition, and just really excellent condition. Oh, it looks like I found it for exactly $2, and I feel like $2 for this isn't bad at all, at all, at all. So I went ahead and I just grabbed it because I bought enough other things that throwing another $2 item on top of the stack of things that I was already gonna buy anyway wasn't gonna kill me or break the bank. So I went ahead and grabbed that one as well. Let me take a sippy sip real quick because I've been talking and just want to add some moisture to my mouth and throat. Okay, and then I found something a bit more modern, and this is by Lindsay Duga, who's one of those future of middle grade authors. And I kind of stole that term from Shady Side Library, who has a video out, a fairly recent video out on his channel where he was talking about the future of like middle grade horror, or yeah, middle grade horror. And I'm pretty sure that this author was on there. And this one is called The Replacement, and just really good looking cover. There's kind of a creepy looking girl from another time period, and you can tell she's from another period of time because of the pajama gown that she's wearing. And this book was printed very recently in the year 2022, and so it was in really great condition. So I went ahead and picked this one up. And you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and read the tagline and the synopsis on back because I feel like I didn't have to for most of the other things that I demonstrated, because most people probably either already have them or already know that they would want them. And since this one's kind of new, it might be a bit intriguing to some portion of my audience. So the tagline on the front reads, "Never make a promise you can't keep." And it says that this is also the author of The Haunting and Ghost in the Headlights. I know I have Ghost in the Headlights. I'm not sure if I have The Haunting or not, but the synopsis on the back reads, "Do the dead deserve a second chance? Erin Dodgson loves her new home. It has a big backyard with a tree house, and she doesn't have to share a room with her annoying little sister, Becca. Everything is perfect, except for the ghost. At first, the ghost is just a nuisance, but then Erin starts losing her memory. Sometimes it's only for a few minutes. Other times, it's for a few days. Erin is convinced the ghost has been taking over her body, but she doesn't know why or how to make it stop. All she knows for sure is she'd better do something before the ghost takes everything from her." And that sounds really dope, actually. That sounds really good because I just recently loaned out my copy of A Stranger with My Face by Lois Duncan to a coworker, and my coworker didn't want to finish reading it. They wanted to DNF it. And I asked why, and they said, because it's a ghost story. I don't like ghost stories. And I told my coworker, well, it wasn't exactly a ghost. And so my coworker agreed to continue reading the story. And this kind of sounds like that if it was actually a ghost. So, um, then I picked up a classic, and this is Carmilla by Joseph Sheridan Le Fanu. And this is like, an OG vampire story. I picked this one up brand new from like Barnes and Noble the other day. And it's because I read Carmilla when I was younger. I enjoyed it. I actually read it like in my early 20s when there was an app that every iPhone came with called iBooks, and you could pretty much download like all these books for free, especially if they were old, like before the copyright dates went into effect. And this is one of those books that like inspired Bram Stoker to write Dracula. And I read it in my early 20s, and I've never owned like an actual hard copy of it, and now I do. And the guy at the counter was like impressed. He was like, "Oh, whoa, is this that vampire story? Is this the one that inspired Dracula?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I was impressed that he knew. Then I got three more for you. This is one that I think my audience will be excited about. I went ahead and bought The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix just because, I'm already reading Paperbacks from Hell as one of my old school April reads. And then I found this at Barnes and Noble, and I ended up paying full retail price for it. Let's see. I have the receipt right here. I paid $17, which is the and I'm not mad at it because Grady Hendrix is doing a lot for our community. He's been on the Pike cast a couple of times here on YouTube, and so I really don't mind having paid full retail for his books. I kind of wear it like a badge of honor. Like I'm glad I had the opportunity to do it. And they had one of his more recent books on their display case, and it's called like How to Sell a Haunted House. I'll be picking that one up as well. I'll probably wait till next pay period because I've already been kind of going nuts this pay period with my shopping sprees. And I got two more for you now. I found this Tor horror, and it's by Fred Saberhagen. And this book is called Seance for a Vampire. And it reads that this is the first time in paperback. And it looks like this is a. Oh no. Oh no. I thought it was in near mint condition. Then I opened it up and I see that. I'm a little disappointed, but oh well, I'll live. It looks like this is. Ugh. Am I gonna live? I don't know. I wonder if I can fix that. Anyway, it looks like this is a Sherlock Holmes meets Count Dracula kind of book. Just for fun, let's go ahead. I'm so sad. I'm sad. Okay, but I'm trying to be tough and power through. So looks like it was copyrighted in 1994, or well, I guess the first edition was printed in 94, and then this first mass market edition was printed in paperback in 1997. And this actually does sound like something that I would read because I read the Canary Trainer uh, by Nicholas something, and it was like count. It was like the Phantom of the Opera meets Sherlock Holmes, and I absolutely loved it. Even though I seem to be the only one that read it who loves it, although there is a Sherlock Holmes fan club called the Notorious Canary Trainers. They named their fan club after his book that I only hear bad things about, but I read it and I loved it. So I don't know what to do with that. And lastly, I found this Dell horror book, and it's called Personal Darkness, and it's a vampire book. The author is Tanith Lee, and It's just a vampire book. It was in good condition. This is one of the books that I picked up from that bookstore near my place that I just discovered. And this is actually from 1994, and it sounds good. I mean, it got like a review from like Fangoria and got another review from Kirkus, and I don't know. I like the cover. I like the fact that blood drips from the title of the book. Excuse me. Sorry about that. My apologies. But yeah, I'd like to read this one. But that's it. These were my book acquisitions this week. I really need to get a new bookshelf. But thank you guys for watching. Horns up and peace out.